Thank you for joining the Friends Eye View spoilers. My name is Shaun. I'm with my buddy Jose.
Hello, hello.
So the movie we were referring to is Ashes.
Yes.
And I gotta tell you, before I tell you the score, I just gotta say, wow. Like, just wow. That's all I got. I mean, obviously we got more we're gonna talk about, but
Sure.
But yeah, like that was unbelievably for me. That was an unbelievably well written movie. And, it's a Turkish movie, so you have to deal with the subtitles.
Yes, yes.
But I'm gonna give this a straight 9. This is Pan Labyrinth level.
Wow.
I would definitely watch it multiple times. I would absolutely search it out if I needed to watch a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It would end up on a list where I'm like, hey, I'm going to go look for this movie. It's definitely a 9 for me. What did you get it?
Okay. Well, for me, I gave it a 7.5.
7.5.
And I'm pretty sure I would have given it if I knew Turkish.
Yeah.
I know my wife, I'm pretty sure she hasn't seen it yet, but when she does, I want to get her take on what she would, see or what she would think of it. But because of the differences in languages, because we, of course, have to, view it in English.
Yeah.
But it was made as a Turkish in Turkey, So I'm pretty sure they used Turkish in order to do it. So it kind of didn't translate well enough for me as far as the acting. And I'm sure the acting was great when it's done in Turkey, but because of that, so for me, I would have to do a 7.5 just based on that. But I am in agreement with you that it was written beautifully. It was a really well put together screenplay, and the whole movie worked. It just worked.
Okay.
So
it was great. I mean, you had a protagonist, Gökçe, I guess is how you pronounce it. Gökçe. And
yeah. Oh, don't worry, I was in Turkey. So
no, man, I like Turkey.
Yes, I know.
Many times I like Turkey. I'm a huge fan of Turkey, actually.
Yes.
I'll do a shout out for Johnny No Problem if he ever happens to listen to the podcast. My favorite cab driver in Anatolia, and my buddy that guy. He still sells condoms.
Wow.
He still sells condoms, batteries, and cameras at the waterfalls between Istanbul and Anatolia. We are actually Facebook friends. We have been Facebook friends since 2010.
Wow. Unbelievable. Wow.
Okay. I just call him that guy. That guy. I have no idea what his name is. I know he's on my Facebook. I see his post every now and then.
Gotcha. Wow.
But yeah, he's that guy.
Yeah. It's see, and when you're there, you meet interesting people altogether. That's why for me these characters worked, because they were interesting, and you're like, and because I had the pleasure of being in Turkey for 3 years, I got to meet some people that may have, I said, oh, that person reminds me of this person in the movie, or so on and so forth, so that I had, that was a plus, I would have to say.
Yeah. Like I said, and as soon as I saw it come up and it was Turkey, I'm like, ooh, you're married to a Turkish woman?
Yes.
We're all friends. So I was like, cool, it's got to be this Turkish movie. I just wasn't expecting it to be so freaking good.
Yeah.
Like, the problem, granted, was a minor problem. She lived a mundane life and wanted to escape it.
Exactly.
It's not like a serious problem, but the way they did it was just like,
yeah.
Like you almost want to shake the hand of the person who wrote this because they did something cool, which I really, really liked. So Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, there are some preferences I mean, there are things that are required in it, like the inciting event is in Act 1, the midpoint is in Act 2, and then the climax is in Act 3. These are kind of, this is what it is.
Okay.
But the rest of it is kind of preferences and theory and can kind of fluctuate to a point. And one of those things is the inciting event, which is in Act 1. Some prefer it at the end of Act 1. Some put it in the middle. They went in 5 minutes in and did the inciting event. Which is awesome because the inciting event is what moves the story along. It's an event that they may or may not know will change their lives,
Yeah.
And the exciting event for them was so minor that it literally changed their life. But it's like, how do you change your life from something as I pick up a book, all the ashes, and start reading it? That is my inciting event.
Yeah.
And that's what made it so interesting, especially after you watch the whole thing. You're like, the inciting event wasn't really that crazy. It was just, I picked up a book and I read it.
Yeah, exactly.
And from reading that book, it changes my life.
Yeah.
Which it really does by the end of the movie, I liked how in the Act 1, because remember, I was talking with you about the archetypes. And Act 1, she had the archetype of orphans.
Yes.
She was kind of isolated by her husband,
Yeah.
She
was even disrespected by her own son.
She was disrespected like a motherfucker. Like, that kid made me want to drop kick him across the room. Like when he started drawing in the book.
Yes. And then
I actually had to rewind it just to make sure that I heard this little bastard the way I thought he said it. Because after he did it, she told him about not doing it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I will do it again, basically. And I'm like,
yeah.
And I had to rewind it. I'm like, did this little bastard just say he'll do it again?
Yeah, that's what caught my attention too. So she was disrespected by her husband and by her son. And I'm like, so that's what made her, say, hey, I could live a different life.
Exactly. And then
immersed herself in that.
I think she got the little bastard back when she conveniently forgot to pick him up from school. Or she was at the school, but she wasn't where he wanted her to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
He didn't look for her.
Yeah.
And he had the nerve to get mad. It's like, get in the fucking car.
Yeah. And also she got back at him by not showing up to that dinner that was planned.
Oh yeah, but that
was so important to him. But she could give.
We talk about that. You're talking about Act 2 stuff. I'm still on Act.
Okay, I love jumping ahead. You know that.
I'm still on Act 1. But you got to see the dynamic of how she went to not a literal orphan.
Yes,
but became a figurative orphan, and she was all by herself.
Yes.
And then she started getting lost in this book, and this book happened to be, and that's what was cool about it. It wasn't like it was literally an autobiography, but she didn't know that it was an autobiography. She started finding out as she is reading it, and then she found the carpenter.
Yep.
And then she cheated on her husband with the carpenter.
Yes.
And they had their little romance. What I liked, though, was about Act 2, is that they timed everything perfectly. There were times you definitely knew way more than the characters.
Oh yeah.
And then there were surprises at the same time. Like when the midpoint,
Yeah.
She decides to go to the tower.
Yeah.
And the guy was shocked, what do you mean, the tower? When all along he knew
what
the tower exactly was.
Yeah.
Right?
But how did you know if it's such a secret? How do you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and then the dinner where you were talking about where she straight up left him there.
Yeah. That would have upset me as well. But, I wouldn't treat my woman like that anyway, so.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, he was the antagonist. He was not a good husband.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts, but that was the thing is you don't really realize at the beginning that he's a shitbag.
Sure.
At the beginning of the movie, it kind of portrays their relationship like what you'd kind of expect an ideal relationship to be like.
Mm-hmm.
You have a husband and wife, you have a child.
Yeah.
They're moderately successful. They both kind of have their own thing going. I mean, later on, you find out that she didn't even want to marry that dude. She was just kind of just doing it.
Yes, exactly.
Talked her into it.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes you gives you some backstory as to why was she unhappy and mundane in the first place? Well, she didn't really love the bastard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of got that from going back, if you will, the first act, when just his speech in the very beginning of the movie when he called her a creature. I know sometimes this little creature right here, but, some women don't like to be called creatures, even though, said this creature right here has been by my side,
I am a creature king. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that scene kind of lets you know. I mean, yeah, that shows he's an asshole, I mean, he had plenty of opportunities in the movie to show you that he is a husband of the year.
Without a doubt, yes.
I mean, he isn't the worst husband.
Sure. Because he's still a provider, but doesn't provide everything.
I mean, he doesn't beat her. He doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's definitely things that bad husbands do.
Yeah.
Worse than what he did.
Sure.
I mean, but you know what I'm saying? They had a complicated relationship, but you got to see how she got into that situation in the first place when her mother's like, you should marry, you'll be happy,
Yes, sir. Yep. You're absolutely correct. Yeah.
And then you get some insight into. They really got me with the twist on the story. Like this movie was apparently written by Dugya.
Yeah.
Dugya.
Do we good?
Where it actually predicted her death.
Yes.
Which was mind blowing because what you see actually is when you get to the climax, because the death is set up as such where you have the dinner where they talk about the dinner, and then the two girls, Dugya and her sister, and you see them talking.
Yep.
And the carpenter kills Dugya.
Yes.
Which you later find out. And then when you go into the climax, what you see is you see a dinner.
Yes.
Because that was tripping me out, is because the husband knew about the carpenter, but they didn't know that the husband knew.
You exactly.
You had to do the the bookcase.
Yes. Right in the house.
And then they had the dinner. He invited him to dinner.
Yep.
How you have the kind of the same setup where the dinner, and then you had the not only the dinner, but you had
the three people. Instead of two girls and a guy, it was one girl and two guys. I thought that was
the husband and the carpenter.
Yep.
In which the carpenter kills her husband, which is essentially the same way that the book actually ended.
I didn't see that coming. I was like, and he looked at her, looking at him. Are you going to help me? So. And that's what I couldn't. I kind of when he looked at her and she looked at him and didn't care. That's what it was. That's what got me.
Yeah, it was just insane. It was an amazing.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, like so. Yeah, like when I saw it, I was like 9.
Yeah. I'm actually shocked that you gave it a 9. I was like, wow. I mean, because it was really good. It really, really was good. And like I said, just the translation is the only reason why I deducted a few points, if you will. So that's why, I did it at 7.5, but it's still worthy, and it's still, I still would recommend it for anyone to go watch that movie because it is really, really good. So
absolutely, man. All right, so until next week.
Next week will be great, and I will show you, or I'll pick a movie, and I will let you know the next couple days.
All right, buddy.
All right, man. We'll talk soon.
You too.